Okay. 60 days in. What will you experience? Well, I'm in between two, my second and third month right now, so I'm coming up on 3 months. So I'm about two and a half. I'm about two and a half. Things that I've noticed in my experience. Oh man. Oh man. Well, for one, your posture. You start to correct your posture. You start to feel that you got to straighten that back out a bit, which is good. You start to hold yourself, start to hold your head up high, shoulders back, chest out, like how a man should be. You start to talk with a bass in your voice. You start to talk and walk with confidence because you feel confident. You're doing something that you've never done before, and you feel like a new you, and you should. Because of this, obviously you're gonna get women attraction, but it's mostly gonna be, a couple stares. I've never had a woman come up to me yet, not on this particular streak, but I've had eyes, and I've also had choosing signals. I personally am working on gaining the confidence to go up to a woman and say hi. Shouldn't be that scary, but for some reason, because I've never been used to doing it, and I've never really done it before, it's a mental hurdle that I must get over. You start to be more conscious about what you put into your body. You start to be more aware of the kind of energy and the kind of moods that certain type of foods put you in, and so you almost have this yearning for real nutrition. You have a yearning for real food, and so I've been buying and cooking more whole foods, like fruits and vegetables, meats, that sort of thing. You start to gain more energy. Something I noticed the longer that I go into my streak is that I start off the day with really good, feel good energy. And then throughout the middle of the day, I kind of like I start off strong, kind of dip a little bit, and then I end the day strong. And so that's just with the kind of mood that my energy puts me in. Like, I have feel good energy at the beginning of the day. Throughout the day, it doesn't diminish, but it dissipates. It's not completely gone. It's just, that feel good can only last for so long, and then it goes back up at night, in the nighttime. So in the nighttime, I feel good again, and it's great. You learn how to be more in touch with your emotions. You're more correctly identifying how you feel and why you feel the way that you feel. And you also come to the realization that although you might not be able to control how you feel, you are able to control the meaning of what that feeling is to you. What I mean by this is the feeling of your body and the way it sits, like your face. Let's say you have a natural resting face, you feel like a pressure. You feel a pressure in between your eyebrows, to squint all the time, or like you feel like you're frowning all the time. And so it creates this negative feeling, which eventually creates a negative emotion. And so you start to, not start to, but you feel shitty all day because of the way that you're letting your energy sit. But when you get on retention, you become more aware, and you start to accept these feelings. Like, yeah, I feel like shit, but that doesn't mean that I have to feel like shit, if you get what I'm saying. It's like, yes, I physically feel like shit, but that doesn't make me have to transmute that negative feeling into a negative emotion, right? I could feel accepting of the way that my body sits and the way that my face sits, and that creates a relaxation, and it actually eases the tension in your facial muscles, which will also ease the tension on your wrinkles, which is great. I feel like retention is part of a fountain of youth. um, I wouldn't necessarily say that retention reverses the aging process, but it certainly slows it down. Your voice gets deeper. Like I was saying, you put some bass in your voice, you feel a little bit more confident, but because of that, it also gets deeper. I think it has to do with the T levels, uh, and also just the caring of how your voice sounds. You know, when I was a depleted Coomer, man, all I cared about is appearances. I cared about how I sounded, you know, and I would always try and make my voice deep. But on retention, 60 days in, you just let it hang loose, you know? If it comes out deep, it comes out deep. If it comes out high pitch, it comes out high pitch. You don't really pay that much mind to it, which is great. You know, it goes back to the relaxation. Goes back to the awareness of one's own emotions and being stoic. It feels good. It feels so good. You know, I caught myself tearing up the other day because I just remember being in the wilderness, so to speak, when I was depleted, and man, I never thought that I would be able to feel this way. You know, and it's not like I feel amazing. I feel like I'm back to baseline, like how I used to be. I'm, I mean, not necessarily when I was a kid, but I just feel so much more content with my life because I give meaning to my life. I'm not so caught up in what other people think or what I think other people think. And it makes you overall more happy, which is good for the mental state. You know, even though I'm going through man, I just got done with the breakup, and I still think about that to this day. But the deeper that I think about it, the more I think to myself, like, I think that I miss the part of myself that I gave to that woman more than I miss that woman, because I really think to what the woman was doing in the relationship, and it just wasn't up to par with what I now hold myself, uh, what standard I hold to myself. It doesn't match up, you know. It's almost like, man, it's like that V-Box is a drug. It's a kind of drug, you know, and you have to understand the power of the P. And if you're not careful, it can take control of you. You know, one of content creators that I follow, I think it was Masculine Theory. He talks about and also Vanda G. Both of them actually talked about not trading lust for a different form of lust, not trading your lust for fapping or your lust for looking at adult content for the actualization of that in the 3 dimensions. You know, sometimes the devil, when he sees that you're on God's path, he'll send you temptations. And so one of the ultimate forms of temptation when you're first coming off of those licentious practices, such as fapping and fornicating is that he'll send you someone that you used to, or someone with the body type that you used to fap to. Send you that slim, thick Latina. He'll send you that whatever you're into. He'll send you that IRL in real life. And you at least me, I started off no fap, and I thought I'm gonna go strong, and then the first temptation that came my way, I fell for it. I faulted, and I deeply regret it. You think you're gonna be all good because this is my first time. If I bust one more, I'll be fine. No, every single drop counts. Every drop counts. Every drop counts. I wasn't as confident as I was in my previous videos, but man, I sure had a gleam in my eye. That's for sure. I had something that you can't replace. Sure, you might be able to cultivate some more, but once it's gone, it's gone. You ain't never getting that back. And so that's why I'm so headstrong now. I feel like every single man reaches a point in their journey that they just say enough is enough. But I envy the people who got on this journey and was able to stop before they got to the point where enough was enough. You sort of hit a spiritual rock bottom before you realize, like, I need to take this seriously. But I wish I took this seriously before I hit a spiritual rock bottom. I really do. It's like, men, we age like fine wine. But the earlier you start, the better. Because it's the more precious. You take man A and man B, and let's say man A started retention when he was 30 years old, and let's say he was a fapper before then. Let's say he was an average fapper. And let's say both men are 50. Man A is 50, man B is 50. And they both were average fappers, but man A started a semen retention or no fap at 30 years old. And let's say man B started semen retention and no fap at 20 years old. That 10-year gap of younger, older semen, it creates a compounding interest. The quality, it's sweeter. Like the vibe is just, it's a different kind of vibe when you start off early. And I'm 23, and I first started going on long streaks when I was 21. 21 was my first long streak. I went on a 3-month streak, and then I struggled after that 3-month streak because I fell off, and I fell off hard. I had this one. I had this one lady, Emily. She was actually my first love. I was 21 years old at the time. She was 23. And man, was she my type. She was beautiful. She was born in China. She was Chinese. But she was raised in America. So she had the ethnicity of Chinese, but she was American. She spoke English. She spoke English. And oh my God, she was beautiful. And I couldn't keep my hands off of her. Ugh. I couldn't keep my hands off of her. And, I think she had a soft spot for me because I told her about my retention journey, and she had a soft spot for me because I couldn't contain myself around her. I loved her body. I loved her soul. But I think that's why semen retention has been caught up so much with this red pill content and this red pill information, is because when you get on semen retention, you start to deal with females. And it's actually quality information to know and understand female nature, because females are dealing with you now that you're on semen retention. So I think they go hand in hand. Obviously, you're gonna have uh, men going their own way. You're gonna have MGTOW. Yeah, that's men going their own way. You're gonna have monk mode. You're gonna have people who are just not even associated with women, which is where I'm at now. I watched this creator, Vigor Warriors. He's a really great guy. 63 or 64, 63 I think. But he's been on retention for about 1,500 days or something like that. And even at his quote unquote old age, he doesn't look the age of 63, but even at his quote unquote old age, I mean, the guy's speaking well. He's giving out great information. He's vigorous. You know, he has the vitality and the vigor of a young man. And I guess I mentioned that because you know, you get different perspectives. You start to understand that, you know, not everything is about female attraction. And I personally started this journey because of female attraction, but you you get the female. You lose your seed, and you realize that, man, this journey isn't about females. It wasn't even about that. I mean, you get the female and you get let down by the female because the female ends up leaving you anyways. You have that happen to you a good 3 or 4 times. You get in a couple month relationship here, a couple month relationship there, because your seed is that powerful. So you can't just grab it and bounce. At least if you're looking for a relationship. Yes, you're gonna have relationship Jezebels. You're gonna have Jezebels, not chicks that just sleep with you one time and bounce. No, they're gonna sleep with you a couple times till they drain you of everything that you got. And after that, then they bounce. But it's that powerful, right? And so you go through that a couple times and you lose enough essence to realize that, holy shit, I could have been saving that. I could have been a better version of me had I just held on to that. And that happens a couple times and it just bugs you, you know, it bugs you. And then you decide, hey, you know, maybe this female attraction, maybe this whole female relationship thing, maybe it's not what it's all about. and you realize it's not. You start to see the deeper connections. You start to connect the dots on a deeper level, and you start to see patterns. Once you finally get done with the women and you get on a real journey, a real streak, and you're not worried about the females, that's when you get closer to God. That's when you start to find the deeper meaning in all of this. And coincidentally, that's when women want you. Women want you when you find your purpose. And it's so important not to get knocked off your pivot, not to get knocked off your square. I just want to give a shout out to all the people that I looked up to on my way up. You know, this is still my way up. I'm probably about day 70. That's probably where I'm at. I got a shout out to Vanda G. He really woke me up pretty recently, like to this journey. You know, I fell back into the trap with my last female that I was with, you know. And you guys saw me on my journey up, and you know, I was probably 2.5 months, 3 months in, and then I got this woman, and it all fell to shit after that. But I gotta give it a shout out to Vanda G. I gotta give a shout out to all the old creators or the OGs. The OGs of the game, because I knew about this. I'm 23 now. I knew about this journey when I started this journey when I was 17, but I didn't get serious till I was 21. Vanda G, got shout out to that guy. He's sort of like, I wouldn't say like OG, like the OGs I'm about to mention, but he's like definitely not a new G. He's been on his grind for 3 years, 4 years, something like that. I was only aware of. Maybe I've been watching Vanda G for maybe 1.5 years, but I've watched his videos from about 2 years ago, something like that. Vanda G, obviously, you got a shout out on Angel Time. Both of those two are goated right now. Those two, man, those are real pillars to look up to. I just recently discovered High Vibrational Kings, actually. I like that guy. Vigor Warriors 2. Shout out that guy. Man, shout out to OGs. Mark the Messenger, you know. I was watching Mark, man. That guy actually helped me get closer to God, too. So, you know, Shout out to the guy. Shout out to him on Angel Time. You know, winning over souls for the kingdom. I recently discovered Nana the Soul. Shout out to Nana the Soul. You know, I don't subscribe to him, but I've seen a couple of his videos, and I hear a lot of mentions about him. And, you know, I really do admire the guy's positivity, you know. Ooh, doesn't seal. I would show you, but the camera's set up perfectly. Man, you guys remember when Captain Sinbad was talking about semen retention probably like 5-6 years ago? I remember when Aaron Dowdy, you know, he used to have these videos where he used to end it with "expand your consciousness" or something like that. He was on semen retention a long time ago too. Man, shout out to man, who is that guy? Man, who is that guy? He's a Christian fella. David Hammond. David Hammond, that guy. Oh my gosh, I used to watch him all the time. Oh my gosh, I used to watch him all the time. Man, that guy, he really got closer to God, but yeah, mad respect to that guy. Man, that guy, yeah, I used to be looking up to all these guys, and I still do. I still look up to all of them, you know. They're all sort of on my Mount Rushmore of semen retention. Obviously, you got all the characters in the Bible. You know, it's just semen retention is it's a righteous act. It's I think we see a lot of favor with God. I think we see a lot of luck and serendipity. I think we see a lot of favor from the universe, whatever you want to call your creator, because it's a righteous act. I feel like you're disrespecting life itself by wasting it. It's a precious seed, and I'm so glad that I was born a man. Thank God I was born a man, because even though I've been through some shitty times, and excuse my profanity, even though I've been through some low times, I now realize that I held the power the entire time. I held the power the entire time. Man, it's, you know, there's a song by, I think it was Blue, man, I can't remember, but it had John Lennon in it, John Legend in it. It was, I think it was Die Under the Moon. That's the name of the song. It goes, die under the moon, and if we die under the moon. And then John Legend comes into it, and he said, thank God for the highs and lows, thank God for the oh no no's, thank God, thank God, thank God. See, I can't, I'm passionate about singing, and I only sing in the car. I'm surprised I sung on the camera, but he's just thanking God for the highs and lows. And man, I really resonate with that, you know. You come to points in your life where you have to rely on God in the worst parts, because sometimes that's all you got. Sometimes all you got is your faith. Sometimes you don't know the way out, but God will always give an answer. He will always give you a way out. And that's in the worst times, but in the best times, you gotta drop a tear joy. Cause sometimes you never thought that you would get to that spot. Sometimes you never think that you'll get to the amount of positivity that you're able to achieve, and you can only thank God. Man. This journey, it's irreplaceable. If you found this journey, you are on the righteous path, or at least you're coming to it. This is not the end all be all, but it is the start. This is the first step. Every 1,000-mile journey begins with a single step, and this is the single step. So if you take this step, man, you're headed in the right direction. Hey, shout out to you. Shout out to you, man. If you're watching this video, shout out to you, man. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. CSC, celebrating sober celibates. That's the brand. That's what we're building. That's what I'm put on here on earth to do. Is to promote celibacy and promote sobriety. Remember, that V-Box is a drug, You're going to go through withdrawals. Because look, you go through withdrawals with the P, and then you go through withdrawals with the P. If you get what I'm saying. Thank you guys for tapping in. I appreciate it. I'm going to enjoy my day. I'm going to enjoy my walk. Get this vitamin D in. Feel the nice breeze on my face. Look at the environment. Look at the sky. Look at the water. Woo! Let's hope I get some new opportunities. Thanks, guys. I will see you later. Peace.